Hello guys, I'm back from another video, and today we're talking about what if Bell was overpowered as hell. So, in the last video we talked about how, during his, time in the, Loki familiar household, he's finally getting his first job as an adventurer. So, he was told to go to the guild where they're told to basically find out about a rumor. Apparently, this rumor is all about a certain monster being being in the sewer, which he was told to be paired up with a certain, character. In this case, Finn. After Finn and him basically go into the sewer, they would finally meet up with the large monster, which in this case was a monster that resembles a large cat with a snake-like tail, or a snake that literally is his tail. So, after a while of fighting it, he would basically kill it, being, Bell. After Bell gets his powers, which is poison resistance, he would get his payment and was told to get off the guild because he smelled like shit. I mean, it makes sense, after all, being in the sewer for about, I don't know, maybe like 5 hours, it would definitely smell pretty bad. So, Bell would basically take a shower and change his clothes, as he would basically decide to maybe go around town, even having a bit of fun, eating, also getting some souvenirs. Until he saw Ryu basically approaching him. Apparently, Ryu doesn't have doesn't have work today, so both them would basically decide to, have a bit of fun, maybe having some, mean time together. But Ryu would basically explain that, after hearing about Bet basically telling her that, Belle was basically in love with her, well, she wanted to ask if he wants to go on a date, and even kissing him on the cheek, which Belle would basically run out of there because he was pretty much embarrassed. So, after that little, interaction with him and, Ryu, he would come back. As it turns out, well, apparently Loki got so drunk that she kind of, stolen a monster and started riding it around the city. Yeah, let's just say Belle was pretty mad and also pretty disappointed in her. So, Belle decided to try and find her. As it turns out, well, turns out Loki has been riding on a hippogriff, and trust me, it was pretty hard for him to try and find her. And he also got smacked in the face by a bottle by Loki. So yeah, after catching her and killing the, monster, he would bring her back, as she would explain that she was, a bit drunk at the time, so, and also Belle got barfed on. Yeah, he literally got vomit all over his clothes. So, let's just say he had to, change his clothes and also decide to get some sleep because of that little incident. And so, that is basically what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, Belle is currently at the mansion, basically doing nothing. And I mean nothing. He's basically just like on his bed, just doing nothing. Because currently the rest of the other members are currently on another, mission. Apparently they were told to go into for 55, where there apparently was, well, apparently they were requested to go there. Something about like a murder or something. Bell is basically there doing nothing, as he was quite bored. As Bell is basically just like sharpening his sword and also sharpening his blade, his blade shield. Bell is also currently, leveling up his, his abilities as he reaches a new level. In this case, level 50, which, in this case, is on one of his skills. Specifically, his, skill specifically called, manifestation, which allows him to basically create some of those monster parts and manifest them, which is now level 50, and allows him to basically manifest monsters, or at least monster-like parts from his body, specifically monsters that are about the same power as like a wait for a second, like an S rank monster, which Bell is pretty excited about because he's planning on maybe eating like a monster that's a floor guardian or something. Or at least that's what they're called, at least. Let me just check. Yeah, it turns out they're called floor bosses. So he's planning on maybe eating one, but unfortunately, currently everybody is currently, going on another mission. So he's currently alone. Except for, Loki, which Loki is obviously doing paperwork. Or at least he thinks so. He's just hoping she's not, drunk again. So, Bell is just like, cleaning some of his swords, or the weapons that he borrowed, quote unquote. And is currently just like, just relaxing. Bell is pretty much, trigger happy right now and really wants to fight. But unfortunately, nobody's there to maybe even train with him. So, Bell would basically go outside as he would decide to go to, Loki. As when he does go to Loki's office, Loki's gone. As Bell would say this, I swear to God, if she is drunk then, as he would basically hear the sound of Loki in the, wait for a second. He would hear Loki in the dining room. As when he basically goes downstairs and basically sees that Loki is currently drunk, basically like throwing utensils and also throwing plates around, Bell would just say to himself, I should get alcohol away from this place immediately. Jesus fucking Christ, what is wrong with her? So, Bell would basically manifest large, almost skeleton-like hands, almost resembling a Susanoo from, Naruto, as he would grab Loki by the body, as he would basically grab her, as she would start squirming, saying, Hey, give me back my sake! As Bell would just say this, Oh, what the fuck? And what in the... As Bell would see in his, other skeleton hand, it turns out that she was drinking sake, specifically from the eastern country, as he would say this. How the fuck did she get that? As Belle would just look at her as she's currently super, super drunk, as she would say this. Me to get another drink, give it back. As Belle would say this. No, you're going back into your office and no more drinking for God's sakes. As she would be put back in her office, as Belle would basically take away all of the alcohol from that office, so she wouldn't, cause any trouble ever again. So, after Belle does that, he would basically go back to the dining room, seeing that it's all trashed. As Belle would say this, I guess I'll just have to clean it up. So, Belle would start to create multiple bodies of himself, or at least like multiple copies, as these copies would basically start, cleaning the entire, place, including replacing some of the dishes. So, after doing that, he would basically, put all of these copies away by basically absorbing them. As Belle would say this, seriously, Loki, sometimes I think, why am I even decided to, join you in the first place? He would basically say that to himself, as Bell would basically start to go back to his... Wait for a second. Would basically go back to his room. After he does that, he would basically go and basically get some rest again. So, Bell would decide to get some sleep, as when he wakes up, he would hear the sound of more noises. As Bell would say this, I swear to God, Loki. As Bell would basically, grumble to himself as he would basically grab his, clothes and basically change into those. Specifically, a black tank top with with a dark jacket, specifically made out of leather. He's also wearing a simple, black, I guess you could say, like combat pants, I guess you can say, or cargo pants, as he's basically wearing combat boots. As when he basically comes down from the, stairs and basically looks down, he would see the rest of the Loki Familia members basically, trying to restrain Loki from, trying to kill someone. Apparently she's been shouting about, killing this guy, as Belle would basically look towards her, as she would say this, Oh, hey, Belle. She would basically, wave her hand as Belle would say this. What the hell happened here? As Eyes would say this. Well, somebody decided to insult Loki, as they would look over as they would see a messenger. As he would say this, What are you looking at me for? I mean, I'm just the messenger, and I didn't really mean to do... As Belle would say this. Alright, what the hell is going on here? As the man would say this. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. The name's, I'm just going to call him, Alfonso for now, because, he's just a random character. As he would say this, the name's Alfonso. I'm from the Apollo Familia, As Belle would say this, great, the Apollo Familia. As everybody is just like looking at him saying, oh great, what did you do now? As Belle would say this, what are you looking at me for? As one of them would say this, well, you certainly have a reputation against, um, the Apollo Familia. As he would say this, specifically, the messenger. Yeah, anyway, we came with the message. Apparently, one of our, you know, squads have been captured by monsters and are currently going to get killed, so we need some of your help. As Belle would say this. Anyway, how much is the pay then? As one of them would say this. Belle! As Belle would say this. What? What about the profits? As Bet would say this. Yeah, how much? As, Alfonso would say this. Well, about, as he would basically look around, as he would say this. Um, about 1,500 ballas. Please, just save them, okay? One of them is my sister, so please. As Belle would just look at him, as he would say this. I'll consider it, if you double it. As he would say this. Sure, I will just tell, you know, Apollo about it. As Belle would say this. Deal. As he would basically shake his hand. As Belle would say this. So, guys, let's rescue those, guys. As he would basically, goes back to his, room to, wear his armor and also his, get his, um, shade. I meant, wait for a second, to get his shield blade and also his, broadsword. So, when he arrives back down, everybody's basically, wearing their, armor. As Bet, Finn, Rivia, Leafia, and also Eyes are there. As Belle would say this. Alright guys, let's go. As Belle would basically start going outside to go towards the dungeon. As, well, Alfonso would say this. Be careful! As Belle would say this. Anyway, as they would basically start to go outside, as they would start to leave to go to the dungeon. So, when they arrive there, they're currently at the... As apparently, the, Loki Familia squad, not Loki Familia, I meant the Apollo Familia squad, which was told to go towards the 51st floor. Well, let's just say they're, currently attacked by, monsters and are captured by them. So, they were told to basically go towards the 51st floor, as they don't even know that the 51st floor was already taken by, not Loki Familia, I meant the Apollo Familia. So, yeah. So, as everybody's going towards, 51st floor, they're currently at level, or at least the, floor, let me think, floor 49th. So, they're currently at floor 59th, as everybody is basically resting for now. Everybody is just like, drinking some of the ale, and also maybe even eating. Mostly the meats that, they found, or not really found, but like, the meats that they used as rations during their time in that, place. As Belle is basically eating by himself, as Belle is basically, sharpening his sword while doing it. As one of them would say this, specifically, Leafia. As Leafia would say this, Hey, Belle? As Belle would say this, What is it, Leafia? As Leafia would say this, Well, why are you not joining with us? I mean, as Belle would say this, Oh, I'm not really into crowds or anything like that. As, Rivia would say this, Why? Oh, yeah, I can definitely see why now. As Belle would say this, As, well, Rivia would explain. I meant Leafia. Well, because of your, being born in the dungeon and also, being raised there, I can definitely see why you decide to, eat alone. As Belle would say this. Well, that's exactly why. I live my life alone. All alone. I don't even remember my parents. Or what they looked like. As Leafia would say this. I see. As Belle would say this. Yeah, but I don't really care. The only thing I care about now is surviving. As Bell is currently, finishing the, finishing touches on his, his blade shield. As his blade shield is fully sharpened. As Bell would say this. Now, so, I'll be getting some sleep now. I'm pretty full anyway. As Bell would basically stretch his arms all the way up to the sky as he pulls them down. As Bell would say this. Anyway, night, Leaf. As she would say this. Leaf? As Bell would say this. I think it's quite a cute nickname. What do you think? As she would say this. Thank you, I guess. As Bell would say this. Anyway, night. As Bell would basically go into the tent as he would fall asleep. So, the next day comes as everybody was woken up early to go towards the 51st floor. So, they would start going towards the 51st floor, for God's sake. I keep messing that up. As everybody's going towards the, 51st floor, as they would see, well, the Apollo Familia there, currently about to get, eaten by one of the monsters. This monster almost seems a bit more intelligent than the others. As Bell would say this. What the? As one of them would say this. Hey Bell, do you recognize that monster? As Bell would say this. Yeah, I think I remember. As he would, go into a flashback. So, in this flashback, Bell is currently back at the, back during his time in the, dungeon. As Bell was basically fighting a bunch of monsters. In this case, lizard-like monsters that seem to be, walking on their hind legs. They would basically wield weapons and also armor. And after Bell basically kills their leader, one of them would basically, look at Bell as Bell would basically charge over there, slicing a bit of his face, causing it to have a scar. As the rest of the, lizard-like monsters escape, while Bell would basically get their weapons. And a flashback, as Bell would say this. I remember that monster, and I can't believe it's still not healed. As one of them would say this. Wait, not healed? What do you mean? As Bell would say this. I remembered back when I was still in the dungeon, I was remembering this, this monster. I was fighting it. It almost looked exactly like that monster, except much more grown up, I guess. As one of them would say this. So you actually fought that thing? As Bell would say this. Yeah, and it's definitely got experience now. As Bell would say this. So, let's take it down, shall we? As everybody would basically charge with him. As Bet would basically charge in and would start using his, martial arts to basically fight it. Specifically, one of the, lizard-like monsters. As Bell would basically, jump into the fray as he would basically go towards the leader, specifically the scarred-looking lizard-like monster. As the lizard-like monster recognizes him, as he would growl, as it would basically bring up a large spear, or more specifically, a lance. This lance seems to be covered in blood, to the point that it's completely blood red. As Bell would say this. So, you have changed. What should I call you then? My opponent? How about Mr. Scarface? Yeah. As Bell would basically bring up his broadsword as he would say this. Now, let us fight, Scarface. I mean, it's been a while since I had a good fight with you. I mean, after all, I did kill your old leader. As the monster would basically charge in with his lance, getting ready to stab into Bell like a shish kebab. As Bell would basically jump over it, as Bell would basically slice a bit of its, arm off. As the, monster would basically, scream out in pain. As the monster would basically, go up into, I guess you can say all threes because one of his arms is basically broken now, or ripped off, as it would basically wield the spear in its mouth, basically charging in and using the, spear as like a bludgeoning weapon. Wait for a second. So, Bell would basically jump back after getting hit with the lance, as Bell would basically say this. Well, you certainly gotten clever. As the monster would basically start to growl a little bit more, as it would bring out a skill, as Bell would basically see it, glowing a red color, as it would start glowing into a bluish color now, as his body, or more specifically the monster's body, would start to grow and grow and grow, as it would become much more muscular and much more monstrous, as it would basically charge in at Bell with the, lance. Bell would basically use his sword as he would cut the lance in half. As the monster would be pissed, as the monster would basically, grab, not really grab, more like, lunge at, Bell with sharp claws on only his one hand, as Bell would basically, clash with it. The rest of the other, members of the Loki Familia are currently, trying taking down the rest of the other, lizard-like monsters, as one of them, specifically Leafia, and also Rivia, would basically untie the, Apollo Familia members. The Apollo Familia members say thank you, as they would basically start to escape with, the rest of the other members, like, the Loki Familia. After a while of fighting, Bell would basically, push him back, as the, monster would be, on its back. As Bell would basically step on the chest of the monster, as he would say this. Now, any last words? As the monster would basically, roar at him. As Bell would say this. Huh, actually, never mind. You can't speak. As Bell would basically stab into the monster's head, killing it. As Bell would basically, get his sword once again, as he would basically pull out his blade from his head. As Bet would say this, "Hey Bell, let's go!" As Bell would say this, "Right." As Bell would basically start, grow wings, as he would basically start to fly away. These wings resembling a demon's this time. So, after a while, basically, running away from those, other monsters which noticed the battle and basically started charging in at them, they would basically escape, finally, at the entrance, at, the entrance of the, dungeon. After doing that, the Apollo Familia members were pretty thankful of, thankful for them of, basically saving them, including Belle, as one of them would basically, say this, specifically a girl. "Hey, Belle, are you perhaps single or something?" As everybody's just like looking at her, specifically one of the Apollo Familia members, as you would say this. "Hey, don't do that. Besides, well, he's from another Familia, so," as Belle would say this. Yeah, we should probably not. And besides, I like somebody else, so," she would say this. "Oh, come on. I'm much better than, that girl or whatever you probably like." As Belle would say this. "Sorry." Bell would basically, wave his hands as he would start to leave with the rest of the, Loki Familia members. So, after arriving back at the mansion, they would see Alfonso basically, they're basically worried, as when he saw them, well, Alfonso would basically walk towards, Belle, as Alfonso would say this. "So, is my sister, okay?" Or, as Belle would say this. "Yep, they're okay. Anyway, so, where's the Valis?" As he would say this. "Oh, let me just get it from, Apollo." As he would start to run away, as Bell would say this. "If he doesn't pay, I would just have to beat his ass then." As one of them would say this. "Yeah, agreed," said, Bet. As one of them would basically say this, specifically Finn. "Please don't do that, Bell." As Bell would say this. "That was just a joke." "Maybe," Bell would basically say, as, Finn would say this. "Don't, for God's sake." As Bell would say this. Anyway, so, after a while of, after a few, hours, Alfonso would basically bring out the, 5 million, or at least the, 10 million, Valis that, that was requested, or at least, as payment for basically saving the, Apollo Familia members. After Bell gets the money, he would basically split it with everybody. As Bell, after getting, the, profit, Bell would basically put it in his, newly acquired pouch. Or, should I say, a bag of holding. So, after that, Alfonso would start to leave with his sister, as Bell would say this. Anyway, I'm just gonna be getting some sleep again. That was a pretty tiring day. As one of them would say this. Do you know that the night is pretty young? Wait for a second. As Bet would say this. Hey, the night is still pretty much young. Maybe we can, maybe have some fun, maybe have a party, as Belle would say this. Sorry, not really interested in a party right now. I just want to get some sleep. As one of them would say this. I guess you earned it, Belle, said, Finn. As Belle would say this. Anyway, see ya. As Belle would start to leave to go towards his, bedroom. After he arrives there, he would basically take off his armor, basically just like slamming it onto the ground, which made a, dent into the, floor, but, why the hell not? So, after doing that, Belle would basically, flop onto the bed as he would basically crawl all the way to, his normal spot of sleeping. After that, Belle would basically fall to sleep. So, yeah. So, this is going to be the end of this episode. And so, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!